Welcome to the She Force Show. I'm Amy Carlson, and my guest today, Lisa Rizzoli. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, thanks, Amy.
So glad you could be here.
Me too.
All
So
right,
excited.
let's start with the right off the bat. What
Okay.
everybody can see underneath your name. Let's
Yeah,
talk Tantra.
let's talk Tantra. Woo!
I feel like this is something that a lot of people maybe have a misconception about, or maybe just a one dimensional idea about what Tantra is.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, from my perspective, Tantra really is a spiritual practice in that teaches us that everything is sacred, everything, and including sexuality. So, one of the fastest ways to enlightenment or awakening, according to Tantra, is by using our sexual energy, because that's the energy that we are most connected with. So that's how I teach Tantra, and that's how I emphasize it, but most people think of Tantra as sexual. And there are some sexual components to it. Don't get me wrong. It is learning to master your sexual energies so that you can be more in tune with your own body, more in tune with your partner's body, and have that moment of deeper connection, not only with yourself and with your partner, but on that universal level of deep connection.
Wow, that's a great explanation. And it just makes you see how deep, like this is an ancient tradition that, would you call it tradition?
Yeah, I think philosophy, tradition coming out of the Indus Valley, many centuries ago. And we don't have exact dates. I mean, some people will come up with some things around this. Um, and we know that there's different types of Tantra as well, because Tantra coming out of the Indus Valley moves out, migrates, and we know that there's like the Buddhist Tantra, and then there's the Indian Tantra and Hindu Tantra. So there's different sects of it, if you will, and just slight changes in the process of what people are teaching and what people are learning about. There's also like I know that there's several people that go with classic Tantra, which is reading out of the texts and coming out of that space, as well as what now some people are calling neo Tantra. I kind of balk at the whole neo Tantra thing, because neo meaning new Tantra. It's not that it's new, it's that it's evolved into this. And so we don't say the new chemistry, we say chemistry. And so it's the same thing. I have that same thought of it. It's not really neo, because it's just evolving, and things need to evolve. We know that. And so in today's culture, and I can mostly speak for westernized cultures, is that we really have put this put this like stigma on sex. And so that's the part that really needs to be talked about more, so that we destigmatize sex. And at the same time, that we're stigmatizing sex and saying sex is this and sex is that, we're also using sex to sell everything. So it's very confusing for the Western mind, is like, wait a minute, what? So it's one of those things, but yeah.
And then every individual gets to ask, what are my thoughts on this? Where do I stand on this? And many questions are swarming in my head at once. But first, I want you to start with, if you don't mind, how did you come to study this?
Wow, that is such an intricate conversation. I'll give you the short story. Well, I don't know. We'll see how short it is. Um, what happened was I had a friend who wanted to go to a facility, and so she's like, the only way you could go to the facility was if you took a course. And so she picked out a couple courses, and then she said, "This one really speaks to me." It was Divine Feminine, and I said, "Okay, I'm happy to do any of that." And so I jumped in, not really knowing what I was doing in this course, but I entered in. It's all women, and they started talking about tantric practices and different things. And I am 40 something at that point, like early 40s, going, and I have a degree in anthropology, a master's degree in anthropology, and I'm like, how do I not know about this tantra? Because a lot of what they were doing is stuff that I've been intuitively doing all my life. But I didn't have the verbiage for it. I didn't have the vocabulary, the vernacular. I didn't have any of that. And I didn't know anybody else that had experienced some of the things that I experienced. So I felt very isolated out there and didn't know, like, I didn't know what I didn't know. So when I came into that workshop, all of a sudden they're doing these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to be when I grow up, because that's what I always say. But so I talked to the facilitator, and she said, "Yeah, we have a teacher training in Hawaii in whatever, a couple weeks or whatever." And I said, "Wow, this is what I want to do." So that's my entry point into it, and then it expands out of that. Yeah.
So did you do that training 2 weeks later?
I did. I did. I jumped aboard. I did that training, and this school was called Divine Feminine, Awakened Masculine, and it was run by Carolyn Muir at that time. So I was maybe we had to do there was 4 modules before you could get your certification that you can be a teacher or whatever. And so I got into my second or third module, and at that point, she introduced me to Charles Muir, her former husband, and he is the one who taught her. And he had the Source School of Tantra, and I jumped on board with that as well. So I was running both programs at the same time. But when I first met Charles, Charles said, "You're going to teach with me. I already know. I feel it and all the things." And I thought, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything. And as soon as I was done with my training, I started teaching with him. So I taught with Source School of Tantra for several years. I was their level 2 teacher trainer, which was their certified program. Level 2, you got certified. Level 1 is kind of the intro and getting in. And then level 2 was the certification process. So I taught with them for several years.
Great. So in your experience, when you have worked with people to teach them about Tantra, what do you see awaken? When people almost discover this other part of themselves.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things that happens is a lot of people there's an intuitive knowing that there's so much more out there than just the physicality of sex, but they don't know what it is yet. And
Yeah.
so they're looking. And this was even for me. This is how I was going through. I was searching, searching, searching. I knew there was something else, and I didn't necessarily know it was about the sex piece. I just knew there was something else in the world. There was something else, there was deeper meaning. And then I started searching, and that's how it was for me. I see that with most people that come into this field, into Tantra, is that they know intuitively there's something more, something deeper than just the physicality of sex. So when they are introduced into the tantric approach and feeling the energy moving through their bodies, that's the awakening. The awakening happens, and they're like, I didn't even know what just happened, And so that's one of the things that is really powerful experience. And I can share a little story about this. My partner now, we were on the beach in Kauai. And so he's been, exposed to this energy, moving energy through the body. I've been teaching him and showing him the ways and doing all this. And so I keep saying it's more than the sex, though. It's not, orgasmic energy is not just a sexual experience, it's a living experience. And so we were on the beach, and he's like, "Wow, can you just," like, it was sunrise, all the things were happening. It was really beautiful. And he said, "Can you just, like, stay still for just a minute?" And he was gazing into my eyes, but the sun was also hitting, and it was all these things happening at once. And all of a sudden, this orgasmic bliss came over him, and he was just shaking with that energy and going, afterwards, going, "I don't even know what just happened. Was that an orgasm?" Because we weren't even touching or anything. We were just in this place of eye gazing and being in this. So that's what Tantra can bring. that's what the energy can bring, is showing us that orgasmic bliss is so much more than a sexual experience.
Wow. Wow. So you've been teaching, and obviously it's shifted your life, even though, like you say, intuitively, you knew some of these things. Um, how else has it shifted things for you in your, I don't know if it would be the trajectory of possibly your career, but in all the
Really?
ways. Yeah. How has it
All the things.
yeah,
I think I'm always in that space of continuously learning and growth and expansion. I have those things that I really want to hold on to. So while I was doing this in those two schools, I also went into classic tantra and started learning on that piece as well, because I'm constantly in that place of curiosity of like, what else can I learn? What else can I learn? And as I teach, I'm obviously learning more, because if you really want to embody a practice, teach it. I'm all about this of like, I really have to embrace and embody a practice before I teach it to anybody else, so that I kind of know what's going on with it. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily do that, but that is a big part of what my experience is with it, is being with embodied practitioners and teachers. So I learned a lot about myself. I think that is one of the most profound teachings that I have from this tantric path, is going deeper into my true self and uncovering on that soul level, like, who is Lisa? Who am I right now? And it's been a journey, and it continues to be a journey. I continue to go deeper and deeper into the layers. I love my practices, and I have a full on tantric practice every day, meditations and different things. And I walk around, and I like to share. I choose to live an orgasmic, blissful life beyond my wildest dreams. That's one of the things that I talk about a lot, and that is a choice. It is a choice of really uncovering like the beauty in the world. I think that I get to see it in a different light.
absolutely. How about your, confidence? Does this path
Oh,
shifted your confidence?
that's a great question, because confidence is one of those things. Um, I think that my confidence, it ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
It's like contraction and expansion, and that the spanda of life. In tantra we call it spanda, and that contraction and expansion, just like your heart. And the heart contracts, and then it expands, and the blood moves, and that's how that pump works. And I do believe that that's part of what happens with my confidence. It expands and then it contracts, and I feel a blush coming. It's so funny. Like, wow, I'm feeling a little blushy here. But that's the truth. That's the truth in anything that we're doing. And as I step into different realms of teaching, even, there's those moments that I'm not feeling as confident, and I don't feel as secure in who I am. But as soon as I step in and start teaching and just allow the energy to flow, which is what these practices help me to do. Is when I'm meditative, I'm really coming into this place of opening up to the universal wisdom, not just my wisdom, but the universe's wisdom. And when I do that, and I feel that grounded space beneath, I think that's where the confidence actually stems from, and then I can step into it even deeper. And I think it's a continuous experience of like,
Absolutely.
sometimes I'm really confident, and other times I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what we all need to hear too, is it's just it's not a steady state, it's an ebb and a flow.
Yeah, it really is. I think that is with just about everything in life, is
Yeah.
that it's an ebb and flow on all these different, principles and where we're at with life.
Yeah, yeah. So how about with, in regards to creativity? Do you feel like the word flow, you've used it a lot in regards to energy, and I think of flow as well, like being in the flow state with creativity or with whatever. Um, have you noticed anything for yourself in regards to creativity?
That's another great question, because I talk about sexual energy as creative life force energy. So when we're actually working with that sexual energy, I'm in a more creative state of mind, as well as just being really connected with how it flows through the body. And it's interesting how creativity and that life force, that like that's all about creation, like creating life, like a baby, but then also coming into the space of like, I don't want to create babies anymore, but I do want to create the life that I want to live. And so that's how I look at the sexual energy, as creative life force energy. And again, sexual energy is not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be in sexual content. It's actually can happen all the time, and it's right there. It's right there for our access.
Accessible. And the other word that I love to explore too about any topic is about connection. And so with tantra, there's some obvious ways that um, we can increase connection. But I love how you were expressing too the connection with the universe within you and the universe around you.
Yeah, connection is it's continuously exploring connection with other people, connection within myself, connection within the universe, and those universal truths, stepping into that space. So I think connection is a vitally important aspect of what we're doing. Even and what's really interesting is how deep of a connection we can create even over the internet, and where we can go. Like, I had limited thoughts on that, limited beliefs around, like, can I do this on the internet? Can I actually teach these classes this way? And what I learned is, yes, I can. And I can connect deeply with people, even though we're however many miles apart. We can still have this deep connection, and the weaving of the energies is still available to us. So it's allowing me to go to question, like, what do I think connection really is? Because I used to think it was about us being in the same space and we had to have these things. And now I'm like, wow, the eye contact can still happen on the screen, and we get to go into deeper space with it when we get to that energetic space. So energy is like, it's limitless, and it doesn't have these constraints of time and space that we that we often put on it. And I think we're all learning that as a result of us doing more stuff on the internet and doing these types of interviews and connections and talking.
Yes. Yes. And you use the word weave, weaving the energies together. I love that. It gives me a visual. I love that visual.
Yeah, the word tantra itself is a weaving of wisdom, a
Mm.
weaving of the knowledge. When we break down the words tan and tra in Sanskrit, it's the weaving of knowing. And
Mm.
so if you think about that in terms of like everything that I've learned throughout my life, I just weave all of that together into what I believe right now. And it will continue to shift and change as we go, because I continue to learn. And I think that people, that's one of the things that, like, we get to continuously grow, and we're not stagnant, and we continuously get more bits and pieces of information and just create that weaving tapestry for ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's evolving. That's dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So as we wrap this up, Lisa, is there anything that you didn't get to say yet or share about um, this amazing field of study, practice?
Oh, wow, that's a big one, isn't it? There's a lot of information. I think that one of the things is that I really believe is that if you're called to tantra, you start hearing it more, you start seeing it more. It's there, and so that's like a message from the universe saying, "Hey, go check this out." And if you're called to it, do it. See what this path, where this path leads you, and how it can help you in your life, because there is so much more to life than just the physical existence. There's the spiritual aspect of what this is, and there's the energy of flow and connection. And we get to explore all that. So this is something that is really interesting to you. Jump in, and jump in and take some classes, and find somebody that you really connect with, that feels right for you, and then do it, because why not?
Yes, why not?
Why not? Let's do it.
Absolutely. And the more, I love that word more. And I heard once the mantra of the universe is more,
Yes,
more.
more.
Yes,
We get to
yes.
continue to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
So before we sign off, to all of you viewing, just remember that information without some form of integration just feels heavy. So what's one thing that you have as a takeaway from this time that you could go take action on now?
Well, I in that website that's on there, that's a free, that will guide you into a free audio for a meditation that I call Loving Myself Awake. It is a practice that I love to do each and every day, and it's evolved over time. But this is something that you can go check out and go do that. Loving Myself Awake. I recommend that you do it for like 30 days solid every day. Get into the habit of it, and then once you have the foundation from me and guiding you in it, then you start to integrate it and really embody it for yourself, and discover what you need each and every day, so that your Loving Yourself Awake meditation becomes your own unique signature way to wake up every day.
Yes. Well, thank you for that, Lisa. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here, sharing your journey, and just giving us all more to think about in the world of Tantra.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. And you're so welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay.
Okay.
Do a, that was awesome.
Okay, I'm going to take a drink.
I could go and go and go more.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know how you limit these, especially with these great big huge topics that some people have.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has a big topic and it can go on and on and on, but you do have to limit because people lose interest
Yeah.
quickly. So, yeah,
But
we're
like,
gonna.
I'm starting to see like why people do like part A and part B. Like, okay, then come back next week. We're going to have the next, another segment or whatever
Yeah,
continuing. Yeah.
yeah. Because there's so much. I mean, when I think about it, like the 3 classes that I have online right now, the program that I'm teaching right now, the beta, and getting into that, and then that's going to become a regular program all the time. I mean, there's just so much to chit chat about. It's just wild. So it gets to be
Ongoing.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ongoing constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's make ourselves a little promo video.
Okay,
Um,
get me out here.
okay. So I'll kind of start it off and be like, hey, this is Amy from She Force, and I just got done interviewing Lisa. Lisa was talking about Tantra. Hey, Lisa, you want to share with us a few tidbits um,
Yeah.
to get everybody excited about when the show comes out? How's
Great.
that?
Okay. Okay.
All right. Hey, this is Amy from She Force, and I just got done interviewing Lisa Rizzoli about the world of Tantra. Lisa, do you want to share a little bit to whet people's appetite about what's coming up in the show?
Oh my God, it was such a great interview. I love it. And we could go on and on and on about all the things, but Tantra being that spiritual path of discovering that there's so much more to life and living than just the physicality of it. There's this whole other realm of spiritual awakening that we get to share in. And we shared some of that in this interview.
So come check it out.
Yeah.
Woohoo! I'm gonna
Woo
hit the end recording.